Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. So, the last we left was verse 28, which is Krishna is describing different kinds of yajnas. They are used as a backdrop to bring in the understanding of self-knowledge of Atma. In the next verse, Krishna describes more yajnas. Dravya yajnas tapo yajna, yoga yajnas tatha pare, swadhyaya jnana yajnascha, yatayas samshita vrataha. We've done this. We'll just go through this once before going to the next verse. So, tatha, so to, apare are the others. Dravya yajnaha, those who distribute wealth. Tapo yajnaha, those who follow prayerful disciplines. Yoga yajnaha, those who practice yoga. Cha, and swadhyaya jnana yajnaha, those who pursue knowledge. Samshita vrataha, those of firm vows. Yatayaha, those who make efforts. So tatha apare द्रव्ययज्ञाः तपोयज्ञाः योगयज्ञाः च स्वाध्यायज्ञानयज्ञाः संशितव्रताः यतयः. So too, there are those who distribute wealth, those who follow prayerful disciplines, those who practice yoga, and those of firm vows and efforts who pursue knowledge. Here, Krishna points out various other disciplines or yajnas that different types of seekers are engaged in. Those who distribute wealth in the form of money or whatever else that may be given as charity are called dravya yajnas. To distribute one's wealth, dravya, can be purely charity or it can be given as a yajna, as an offering to the Lord, as a means of invoking the Lord in the form of this sacrifice. So, distribute one's wealth can be purely charity, or it can be given as a yajna, as an offering to the Lord, as a means of invoking the Lord in the form of this sacrifice. A person who does this is called a dravya yajna, here in this verse. For example, in India, a good part of the wealth, just give me 1 second. So, for example, in India, a good part of the wealth in the form of cows, land, gold, clothing, vessels, or grain that a man leaves behind when he dies is distributed to the people. In fact, this distribution is the main part of the ritual performed after death. Before the cremation, the distribution takes place. To distribute one's wealth as a yajna while living helps one gain antakarana shuddhi because there is giving involved. Another set of seekers described are called tapo yajnas. Tapas refers to any kind of prayerful discipline undertaken for the sake of atonement or discipline. The vows that one takes are also tapas. Some people, for example, take a vow of not eating on Ekadashi, the 11th day of the moon, each month and spend the day in prayer. Such people are called tapo yajnas. Tapas is not just any discipline, it is prayerful discipline. Otherwise, even jogging and aerobics would become yajnas. So, tapo yajna is prayerful discipline, not just any discipline. Here, the attitude is religious and therefore is again for antakarana shuddhi. Those seekers who follow Ashtanga Yoga, eight-limbed yoga, are called Yoga Yajnas. Ashtanga Yoga is a prayerful discipline wherein the Lord is worshipped. Ishvara Pranidhanam is one of its prescribed observances, niyamas. Still others who are Yatayaha Samshita Vrataha, people of effort and people whose vows are very clear, are Swadhyaya Jnana Yajnas, those who follow the discipline of study and knowledge. Swadhyaya Yajna refers to those who learn to chant or recite their own Veda. There are some people who, having learned the Veda in this way, do nothing but recite a portion of it daily. Such people are called Swadhyaya Yajnas, those who perform the Yajna of Swadhyaya. And those who study Vedanta, who inquire into the Vedanta Shastra, are called Jnana Yajnas, those who perform the Yajna of pursuing knowledge, Jnana. Here, the Swadhyaya Jnana Yajnas are the people of great effort. Yatayaha, whose commitment to the knowledge is complete, Samshita Vrataha. And these people do both these yajnas and are therefore referred to as Swadhyaya Jnana Yajnas in this verse. Other seekers follow the discipline of pranayama or breath control, one of the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, which is also looked upon as a yajna, as we shall see in the next verse. So, what are all the yajnas that are talked of here? Dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna, and swadhyaya jnana yajna. And all these are prayerful. Just giving charity is not, giving it as a yajna. So bringing in that aspect of divinity, even tapo yajna, it's not just any austerity, it's not just any discipline. It is bringing in the attitude of prayer in it. So when you do the Ekadashi fast, it is with that, it's not just fasting, like people do this intermittent fast and all that. It's not like that. It is done with an attitude of prayer. So you spend the day praying, chanting, doing japa. Same thing with yoga yajna. Doing yoga you can do just as an exercise. Most people now have taken yoga as a as business, but if that prayerful attitude is lost, then it loses its impact as true Ashtanga yoga, right? So that prayer, the attitude of prayer is important, honoring the practice. Same thing with Swadhyaya Yajna. When you're chanting, you can just chant. It can just be a very mechanical chant. But if you bring in that attitude of prayer and you're doing it as an offering, then it stands out as being prayerful. Same thing with Jnana Yajna. See, anything we do can be done mechanically or bringing in the aspect of divinity in it. That is why Gurudev says, doing homas and all that. There are so many pandits who do homas, yajnas and homas. But those who are practicing some form of discipline, so those who are meditating, when they do it, it has a greater impact. It has, that is a true yajna or true homa. Not just simply chanting some mantras and putting, the habis in the havan kund. So let's move on further. Apane juhvati pranam, prane panam tatha pare, pranapanagati rudva, pranayama parayanaha. Tatha, so too, apare, others, pranayama parayanaha. Those who are committed to the practice of pranayama, breath control, prana apana gati rudva, stopping the flow of inhalation and exhalation, apane, into the incoming breath, pranam, the outgoing breath, prane, into the outgoing breath, apanam, the incoming breath, juhvati, offer. So, tatha apare pranayama parayanaha prana apana gati rudva apane pranam prane apanam juhvati. The prane pana should be ingoing breath, actually. Let's see. I think maybe pranam is called the incoming breath. Okay. So too others, those who are committed to the practice of pranayama, breath control, stopping the flow of inhalation and exhalation, offer the outgoing breath into the incoming breath and the incoming breath into the outgoing breath. Those who practice breath control as a yajna are called pranayama parayanas. These are people for whom pranayama is the param ayanam, the ultimate end. The primary end for such people is the practice of pranayama. In other words, they are committed to this practice for the time being. In the word pranayama, prana means breath and ayama means discipline. Thus, the discipline of breath control is called pranayama. Prana has several meanings, all of which imply living or breathing in one sense or another. Life itself is called prana. Sometimes prana is used to refer to metabolic activity or to the entire physiological activity. Digestion, circulation, and so on are each referred to as different pranas. In addition to these general meanings, prana also has a more specific meaning. The outgoing breath or exhalation is called prana, and the incoming breath or inhalation is called apana. Apana also has a more general meaning referring to the system responsible for elimination of anything that is thrown out of the body. In this verse, the more specific meaning of prana and apana, exhalation and inhalation, is implied, wherein the act of respiration is presented as a discipline performed as a yajna. So the pratipadartha for this prana, and this is prak gamanavan vayuhu pranaha, the air that goes out. Then adho gamanavan vayuhu apanaha, the air that goes out in front of the person is called prana. The air that goes down, that goes in, is called apana. So I'll repeat this again. Prak gamanavan vayuhu pranaha. Prak is in front of the person. So the air that goes out in front of the person is prana. And adho gamanavan vayuhu apanaha, that which goes down. So that which goes down where? Into the lungs. That goes is called apana. So therefore, the in breath is called apana and the out breath is called prana. I think last time when we read this, we had a bit of confusion because as we understand, the apana vayu, which is the 5 types of pranas, prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana. Of that, the apana there is about elimination, is about removal, like defecation, urination, and all that. But here, when you look at the understanding of prana and apana, so prak gamanavan vayuhu pranaha and adho gamanavan vayuhu apana. So here it means apana is the in breath and prana is the out breath. So inhalation and exhalation as a discipline. So therefore, the outgoing breath or exhalation is called prana, and the incoming breath or inhalation is called apana. Apana also has a more general meaning, referring to the system responsible for elimination of anything that is thrown out of the body. In this verse, the more specific meaning of prana and apana, exhalation and inhalation, is implied, wherein the act of respiration is presented as a discipline performed as a yajna. See, rather than do it mechanically, you're just doing the in-breath, out-breath as a yajna with a prayerful attitude. And this is something we do day in and day out. Of course, when you are asleep, you cannot be aware. But at the times when you are not, when you are awake, if you're doing this, an act of not just being aware, but being aware with that honor and respect and prayer, that prayerful attitude, then that alertness automatically comes in. So inhalation and exhalation as a discipline. Filling the lungs by inhaling the breath is called puraka, and emptying the lungs by exhaling is called rechaka. One can pause between inhalation and exhalation, and again between the exhalation and the next inhalation. During these pauses, the air is retained inside the lungs, and this is called kumbhaka. Each of these activities is a discipline that can be followed consciously. And when they are followed deliberately and consciously, varying the duration of each according to the type of pranayama, the pranayama itself becomes a yajna. In this verse, Krishna mentions 3 types of pranayamas, the very practice of which become yajnas. The first is the one in which the prana, exhalation. Before this, let me go through this one more time. So, filling the lungs by inhaling the breath is called puraka, and emptying the lungs is called rechaka. Emptying the lungs by exhalation is called rechaka. So Puraka equals Apana and Rechaka equals Prana, right? So one can pause between inhalation and exhalation, and again between the exhalation and the next inhalation. So during these pauses, the air is retained inside the lungs, and this is called Kumbhaka. Each of these activities is a discipline that can be followed consciously. And when they are followed deliberately and consciously, varying the duration of each according to the type of pranayama, the pranayama itself becomes a yajna. In this verse, Krishna mentions three types of pranayamas, the very practice of which become yajnas. The first is the one in which the prana, exhalation, is offered unto inhalation, apana. First one in which the prana, exhalation, is offered unto inhalation. This is a kind of puraka pranayama in which the inhalation is given predominance over exhalation. Apane juhvati pranam. The second is the one in which apana, inhalation, is offered unto prana, exhalation. This is a kind of Rechaka pranayama in which the prana, exhalation, is given predominance over apana, inhalation. Prane juhvati apana. The third is the one in which both the flow of both exhalation and inhalation are stopped and the air is retained either inside the lungs or outside the lungs. This is the kind of pranayama called Kumbhaka pranayama. Here, the inhalation and exhalation are offered unto the retention. Prana apana gati rudva. So I'll read this para again. So three types of pranayamas are mentioned by Krishna, the very practice of which become yajnas. The first is the one in which the prana, exhalation, is offered unto inhalation, apana. This is a kind of puraka pranayama in which the inhalation is given importance, is given predominance over exhalation. So what are we dealing with when we talk of this apane juhvati pranam? So the exhalation is offered into the inhalation. So which means the exhalation is like the havis and the inhalation, that is apana, is like the havan kund. I'm just extrapolating it to the offering. So the breath, the exhalation is offered into the inhalation. It's a kind of puraka pranayama. Puraka is what? Puraka is when you inhale, correct? Filling the lungs by inhaling the breath is called puraka. So this type where you're offering the prana unto the apana, the exhalation unto inhalation. So basically when we take a breath in and exhale, so you're offering the prana, which is the exhalation, unto the inhalation. This is a kind of puraka pranayama in which the inhalation is given predominance over exhalation. Apane juhvati pranam. The second is the one in which apana, inhalation, is offered unto prana, exhalation. This is a kind of Rechaka pranayama in which the prana exhalation is given predominance over apana inhalation. Prane juhvati apanam. So, what is the example for a Rechaka pranayama? What comes to my mind is the Kapal Bhati that we do, where the exhalation is um, more forceful and inhalation happens effortlessly. Whereas in the regular pranayam that we do, the 3-stage pranayam, we give importance to equal importance to all the three. But when we are the normal inhalation, exhalation that we do, the inhalation is more, exhalation happens passively. Yeah, let's see. This part is a little tricky. The second is the one in which apana, inhalation, is offered unto prana, exhalation. This is a kind of Rechaka pranayama in which the prana, exhalation, is given predominance over apana, inhalation. Prane juhvati apanam. The third is the one in which both the flow of both exhalation and inhalation are stopped and the air is retained either inside the lungs or outside the lungs. Like what we do in the 3-stage pranayama, right? So we stop, we inhale, we stop, we exhale, and then we stop. So there is this Kumbhaka pranayama that is happening when we do the 3-stage pranayama. Here, the inhalation and exhalation are offered unto the retention. Prana apana gati rudva. Can we just check what Rechaka pranayama is? Don't have the examples of Rechaka pranayama and Puraka pranayama. Sorry, I'll just check what Rechaka and Puraka are for our proper understanding. Light is So, where is this? So, Bhastrika is actually Rechaka, exactly. Because the exhalation is given importance, right? So, in all those where the exhalation is given importance, or there's so many, even Nadi Shodhan, incorporates Rechaka as its main concluding mechanism for each round. They say 1, 2. This is as per internet. So the beginner-friendly technique teaches the body to slow down exhalation using a 1, 2 inhale to exhale count. To gently inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, exhale completely, and slowly through the nose for 8 seconds. The goal is focusing on pulling the abdomen inward during exhalation, emptying the lungs from the bottom up. Then 2-4-8 ratio. So basically, wherever the exhalation is more dominant than inhalation, that becomes the Rechaka pranayama. Whereas, what does Puraka pranayama mean? Puraka. So, Puraka is a Sanskrit term for intentional deep inhalation in yogic breath work. It involves drawing air in smoothly and continuously to expand your lungs, their fullest capacity. So, what benefits? So, what are the examples of Puraka pranayama? Nadi Shodhan involves Puraka. Ujjayi pranayama. So here Ujjayi Puraka is stylized by a slight constriction. Okay. Dirgha pranayama, 3-part breath. Bhastrika pranayama. Unlike the slow passive inhalations of other practices, Bhastrika utilizes a rapid, forceful Puraka to generate physical heat and vitality. Shitali pranayama. Right. So the combinations, most of them are combinations of both Puraka and Rechaka. And Kumbhaka, let's just check that also. Kumbhaka pranayama is breath retention, where you pause your breath after inhalation or exhalation, translating to pot in Sanskrit, Kumbhaka. The torso acts as a container for the breath. So, Antara Kumbhaka. Oh, there are so many types of Kumbhaka also. Antara Bahya Kevala Kumbhaka. Antara is holding the breath after inhalation. Lungs are full. Bahya Kumbhaka is holding the breath after exhalation. Lungs are empty. You're able to hear, right? I hope I'm unmuted. Yeah. Kevala Kumbhaka is spontaneous, effortless breath retention where the breath temporarily ceases on its own. The examples. Nadi Shodhan can also be. Yeah. Basically, I think if we get the rough idea, that's enough. We don't need to go into the specifics, but this because we practice a lot of pranayama, it's good to know what is what. So, where are we? Breath retention kumbhaka. The exhaling flow of breath is called prana gati, and the inhaling flow is called apana gati. Both the prana gati and the apana gati are stopped by the person, meaning that the breath is retained in the lungs for a certain length of time. This retention is called kumbhaka, kumbha meaning a pot. Just as water is retained in a pot, so too breath is retained in the lungs. During kumbhaka, the person does neither prana or apana, stopping both the flow of prana and the flow of apana. Prana apana gati rudva, the person offers one into the other. The exhaling breath prana and the inhaling breath apana are each offered in breath retention called kumbhaka pranayama. This kumbhaka is twofold. The retention that takes place after inhalation, called inside retention, antah kumbhaka, and the retention that takes place after exhalation, called outside retention, bahish kumbhaka. The duration of each of these kumbhakas depends on the relative duration of inhalation and exhalation. Because the person practicing pranayama is carefully measuring the breath, he or she does not cut short any of the three disciplines involved: inhalation, retention, or exhalation. Any impulse to do so is not followed by the person. He or she maintains the stipulated time. Therefore, there is yajna in the discipline. Into the outgoing breath, that is the prana, the incoming breath, apana, is offered, and into the incoming breath, that is apana, the outgoing breath, prana, is offered. This then is what we call the practice of breath control, pranayama abhyasa, performed as a yajna. Pranayama yajna for gaining a certain tranquility, alertness, and steadiness of the mind. Pranayama and a steady mind. The logic here is very simple. By converting the involuntary action of breathing into a voluntary action, you come back to yourself. All you do is breathe. But by breathing deliberately, there is a certain discipline involved, a discipline which helps you gain a steady mind. When this is the end in view, the discipline becomes a yajna. And because there is a prayer involved, there is antakarana shuddhi as well. Nothing purifies the mind like prayer. Thus, the seekers here gain antakarana shuddhi and also steadiness of mind because of the discipline. Having presented the discipline of breath control in this way, Krishna then mentions in the verse the discipline in eating as a yajna. So let's just take a recall as to all the yajnas that we talked of till now. Starts off with Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. Right? That is where karma is described, a ritual is described, a Vedic ritual, which is, and the aspect of akarma is brought in. Why? Because everything is Brahman. From there, with the background of all these rituals, the disciplines, various disciplines and yajnas are brought out. And there's one shloka that is meant for the sannyasis, and all the remaining, and it doesn't matter whether you're a sannyasi or not, what discipline you follow, there is no norm or rule over there. It's just that the sannyasi also may do pranayama, may do yoga, all of that. So there is no hard and fast rule over there. So let me just read those few verses. పద్దెంట్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు వేసుకో వేసి ఆఫ్ చేసే. So let me just read these shlokas. One second. It's good for us to just go back and recollect. Where is that? Verse 24 was Brahmarpanam. Then Shrotradin Indriyananye Samyamagnishu Juhvati. No, sorry. Before that was Daivame Vapare Yajnam Yogina Paryupasate Brahmagna Vapare Yajnam Yajne Naivopa Juhvati. So, other yogis duly offer sacrifice only in the form of worship to gods. Deva Yajna, and we looked at offering the Brahmagna Vapare Yajna. Deva Yajna and Jnana Yajna. That was in verse 25. Deva Yajna is performed by all the karma yogis, and Jnana Yajna by the sannyasis. Then Shrotradin Indriyananye Samyamagnishu Juhvati. Shabdadin Vishayananya Indriyagnishu Juhvati. So, offering the senses into samyama, self-mastery, fires of self-discipline. And the second line was of offering the sense objects into the senses. Shabdadin Vishayananya Indriyagnishu Juhvati. And then Sarvanindriya Karmani. So it was talking about Shama and Dama. So the first shloka, Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi, was talking of how akarma is brought into karma. Akarma is implied there. And then we have two lifestyles. What are they? Karma yoga and sannyasa. So Deva Yajna and Jnana Yajna. And then it was Shama and Dama. Shama is self-mastery and Dama is having a say on your senses. How much to do, what to talk, how much to eat. All that comes in the Shabdadin Vishayananya Indriyagnishu Juhvati. And then Sarvanindriya Karmani Prana Karmani Chapare Atma Samyama Yogagnau Juhvati Jnana Deepite. So others sacrifice all the functions of their senses and the functions of the vital airs, prana, into the fire of yoga in the shape of self-control kindled by wisdom. Jnana Deepite. with the light of knowledge. So all the actions of the, whether it's the actions of the prana or the karmendriyas, they are offered into the fire of self-control, atma samyama. Atma samyama is actually meditation here, right? So let me just take it. This is from the Gita press, but just want to go through this part one more time. Before this, yeah. So others offer all the activities of the senses and organs of action unto the fire of self-mastery, lighted by knowledge. So the seekers discussed in this verse are sannyasis but not jnanis. So they have given up all activities and they're only practicing that self-mastery or meditation there. Atma samyama yogagnau jufvati, fire of self-mastery. Such people live a life of meditation and contemplation called Atma Samyama Yoga. Unto this fire of meditation that is helpful in self-knowledge, those who are given to meditation offer all sensory and other activities. So even a karma yogi can do this. Sadhak can do this when at the seat of meditation. When you're in meditation, that is why those three golden principles: I want nothing, I do nothing, and I am nothing. So you bring yourself, you get into that space of nivritti, where you drop all the activities of the senses and actions of the karmendriyas. That is why having a still body is important, to still the mind. So this is about the सर्वानीन्द्रिय कर्माणि प्राण कर्माणि चापरे आत्म संयम योगाग्नौ जुह्वति ज्ञान दीपिते. And then comes dravya yajnastapo yajna, yoga yajnasthatha pare, swadhyaya yajnana yajnascha yataya samshita vrataha. The verse that we did the first thing today was the different kinds of sacrifices. What are they? Dravya yajna, offering wealth and kind, as a prayer, not just charity, but as a prayer. Same thing with tapo yajna, any form of discipline, but done with that prayerful attitude. Then yoga yajna, ashtanga yoga. Then you have swadhyaya yajnana yajnascha. That is study of the Vedas. What is the Veda prescribed for you? And then jnana yajna, pursuing self-knowledge. Then apane juhva. So we're coming from shama dama to atma samyama, and then different kinds of charity. So from the subtle, it's coming more and more to the gross. So dravya yajna, tapo yajna, all this involves the body, and the mind, of course. And then comes the breath. Apane juhvati pranam, prane panam tatha pare, pranapanagati rudhva, pranayama parayanaha. So it is all about the inhalation, which is apana, exhalation, prana, and kumbhaka, that is when you retain the breath. So inhalation is given in predominance, that's called the puraka pranayama, where the exhalation is offered into the inhalation, and vice versa. Inhalation offered to the exhalation is rechaka pranayama. So all these, when done prayerfully, and you're bringing in the act of discipline. So you're deliberately holding the breath, taking the inhalation for that length. So when we do our three-stage pranayama, you breathe in to the count of 4, hold and breathe out and hold. So all that is intentional, deliberate.
So, how does that help? That helps in steadying the mind. It creates, it helps in antakarna shuddhi. So, rather than just do it mechanically, we bring in the aspect of divinity, of prayer, honoring the practice. So, just being grateful for the breath. In fact, of all the tapas, apparently pranayama is one of the most difficult. So, if this we can do, and we do this every day, rather than just rushing it up, doing it the way it is to be done.
Jai Gurudev, this yoga yajna, how it is like pranayama, we have to sync with the asana and then give pause. That becomes right yajna, not doing mechanically like an exercise.
Yeah, yoga yajna is the Ashtanga yoga that Swamiji is talking about.
Okay.
So Ashtanga includes all of this, no?
Hmm.
Ashtanga includes
Oh,
yama, niyama,
so,
pranayama, asana, pranayama, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So all the 8 limbs of Ashtanga. Yeah, but practicing anything, bringing in the aspect of divinity into that becomes a yajna. Just imagine if we bring in this into that is what China was always talking about. The whole thing is a yajna, yajna bhava. And the whole life itself, from the time we wake up to the time we sleep, and even sleep in a way, if we can extrapolate and call, you're offering your, what is that, Jagrada Avastha into the Swapna Avastha, and Swapna into the Sushupti. I don't know whether we can do that. We can extrapolate that way, but that also is an activity, right? Sleep is rest, yes, but it's a modulation of the mind, of the 5 modulations that Patanjali talks of. Sleep is also a kind of modulation. It's a vritti. So here you're offering it. So every aspect it is offered as it is considered and brought up with that yajna bhava. So can we share? We'll share before we have a few minutes left. Then we go to apare niyataharaha pranan praneshu juhvati sarve pyete yajna vidaha yajna kshapita kalmashaha. This is others who regulate their food intake, offer their desire to eat, Swamiji puts more in the brackets, unto the digestifiers. All these people who observe religious disciplines become, without exception, those for whom the impurities of the mind have been destroyed by the yajna. Yajna kshapita kalmasha. We'll do verse 30 tomorrow. So see, it's coming from the subtle to the gross. Now he's talking about food. Earlier verse was talking about prana, and now it is about food. So we have few minutes. Can we share our understanding?
Jai Gurudev, after the Vastrika, each round, what the locks, what we are applying, I think they are important. So I was not getting actually the clarity about that air outside the lungs and inside the lungs. Inside the lungs were clear, but outside the lungs, my understanding is clear. When we are applying the locks, the air remains inside the whole body, right? Am I right, or
Yeah.
some misunderstanding?
Yeah, the energy is locked up inside. So that becomes a kumbhaka. But how do we do that? After you breathe out, you take a breath in and then apply the locks, right? So it is like
Yes.
that antar kumbhaka. You're taking in the air and you're holding it within, and then you're applying the locks. So it is a kumbhaka pranayama.
And what is Bahis Kumbhaka?
Bahishkumbhaka is when you're doing our 3-stage pranayam. What we do is in the after we exhale for two for the count of two, we stop the breath, right? So we've exhaled and then we're stopping the breath.
Yeah, so that is there the time duration is little less, right?
Less, correct.
Okay.
And I think even Agnisar pranayama, if you look at it, is a form of um, um, Bahishkumbhaka, because you inhale completely and exhale completely, and then you hold your breath. You apply the locks and then do the Agnisar pranayama. So that again is a form of a Bahishkumbhaka pranayama. Those of us who are doing the Agnisara,
Yeah, churning at this time.
turning the stomach, but you hold the breath. It is like you breathe in, breathe out completely,
Completely,
and then
yes.
you do this.
Yeah, yeah.
So, see, basically, no matter what term we give it, when we do it with that attitude, prayerful attitude, and how do we bring in the prayerful attitude? Number
Totally
one, yeah,
being
please.
totally aware.
Yeah, being aware again is being mindful, but doing it sincerely. Number one, no, and having that gratitude. I think when we have that gratitude, it automatically brings in that element of prayer. And Gurudev talks of smile. So when we smile again, otherwise, see, there are people, you just have to watch people's faces when they're doing pranayam, bhastika, and all that. So you see different kinds of emotions, expressions on that. Some put in a lot of effort, so the forehead gets all wrinkled up and so much of focus. That's not required. When you smile, you're relaxing all the muscles of your face. You're using just about 4 muscles of your face. So that smile is also so important. So when you smile and do, that is why even for Sahaj, we start off with a smile on the face. So I think the smile has a lot of importance in our practices. Even when we're doing yoga, we say the most important stretch is the smile. So if we can incorporate all these into our practice, and not just when we're doing all this yoga and all that, just generally having a smile come what may, even if you're going through the most difficult situation, if we can smile. And that is what all our practices are. They're building up that inner resilience to smile come what may. All the 5 knowledge points are to ensure that that smile remains, that chitta prasadana remains. Smile is an outer expression of the prasanna of the mind, prasanna chitta. But sometimes you have to fake it till you make it, like Gurudev says. So You start with that external smile, and then that will percolate into the internal, and vice versa.
And Jai Gurudev, and also, when you smile, it contains all the 5 art of living points actually. You can smile only when you accept everything the way it is, and also understand opposite values and complementary. All the
Yeah.
it contains the smile, the stretch of the smile contains all these things. Otherwise, you can't smile.
Correct. Very true. So, takeaway is what Gurudev says is make your smile cheaper and anger costly. Emotions, all the Arishad Vargas costly. Make your smile cheaper. But our smile is, we say, $1 billion smile. Why should it be $1 billion? It should be the cheapest. It should be like free. Freely smile. Smile for free. Anger should become $1 billion. Yeah, so we'll stop here today. And we'll continue tomorrow with verse 28 or 30. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev. Yeah, before we close, I just wanted to let you know, I posted this in the group, in our Gita Manana group. There is this session on Jyotishya for the secret of relationships. So those of you who are interested, I think they're still taking in registrations. It starts at 10 o'clock India time. It would throw more light on our relationships that we have. So if whoever's interested can log in, can register. There's a Google link that you need to fill in, and that there's a payment of 1,000 rupees. You can do this. This is being conducted by Kiran Anna, who is a prodigy, so to say, in Jyotisha, and is one of the students of China. He himself is an art of living teacher. He just wanted to give a background to that. So whoever's interested, you can please go ahead. Okay. Jai Gurudev.
एकमेवाद्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म निर्गुणं निश्चलं निर्विकारम् एकमेवाद्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म अत्र वेदान्तमेव प्रमाणम् बोधक सद्गुरु तत्त्वनिष्ठः ईश्वरानुगृहीतेन वेद्यम् एकमेवाद्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म ज्ञानगम्यं तुरीयं हृदिस्थम् आत्मरूपं हि तथ्येन ज्ञातम् सोऽध्वनः पारमाप्नोति सत्यम् एकमेवाद्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म ब्रह्मज्ञस्य तु ब्रह्मैव सर्वम् नास्ति मोहो भयं नैव दुःखम् तस्य स्वानन्दमग्नं हि चित्तम् एकमेवाद्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म निर्गुणं निश्चलं निर्विकारम् एकमेवाद्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म एकमेवाद्वितीयं ये ब्रह्म ब्रह्मैव सत्यम्